Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to be right back with today's guest, but as always, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, hey, not so fast. Don't hit that fast forward button. These are all companies that I used as an athletic director. I highly recommend them. I want you to use them too. So take the next 3 minutes, just listen to the shout outs, then listen to our interview, and then go and visit these sponsors, particularly if you don't use them. You're going to be very glad you did. Here we go. We want to say thanks to Huddle for their support of the podcast. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. Our coaches, our student athletes, even our parents just loved the platform. Join the 8 million users. Turn your school into a Huddle school. We'd also like to say thanks to Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks with a fundraiser and then been disappointed in the return on investment? Those days are over. Go to snapraise.com. It's hands down the best online fundraiser out there. It's easy to use. Your coaches and parents are going to love it, and it works. Go to snapraise.com. Check out their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it. Go to snapraise.com. We'd like to thank Hometown Ticketing. Hometown is the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. I don't think I need to say anything more. Go to hometownticketing.com. It's digital ticketing that offers more. We want to say thank you to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. You're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all the teams, for all the events, or show off your school's Hall of Fame. Go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and take a look at their interactive touchscreen video consoles. It's also a great way to share your school's unique history and brag about your proudest moments. The website is vitalsignswalloffame.com. We want to say thank you to the Ohio University Online Masters in Athletic Administration. Now, I didn't get my master's from Ohio University, but my assistant athletic director did, along with thousands of others. And it was a great experience, reasonably priced, just 20 months, totally online. And while you're completing your master's degree, you're also completing 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Go to ohio.edu/info/MAA, the Ohio University Online Masters in Athletic Administration. We'd like to say thank you to Gipper. You know, your students are on social media, and if they're not seeing content that celebrates their accomplishments and promotes your program, you're missing out on a great opportunity. Go to Gipper.com. They're trusted by over 4,000 high school and college programs, and it's so easy, even I can do it. The website again is Gipper.com. We'd like to thank Home Campus. Home Campus is one of those platforms that you're going to use every single day. Things like scheduling, scores, rosters, communication. Their student athlete eligibility and clearance platform is worth the price alone. To get started, just go to homecampus.com. That's it, homecampus.com. We'd like to thank Sideline Interactive indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. You can schedule a live web demo to see their score tables and their scoreboards in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com for more information. And we want to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. Athletic directors already receive feedback, but usually it's from a very small group that just wants to complain. Athletic Surveys will connect you to that group, but they're also going to connect you to the 98% of your stakeholders that support your program. And having that data is incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with a frustrated parent, maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. athleticsurveys.com. Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of the Educational AD Podcast. We're staying right here in Florida today. We're going down to South Florida, one of my favorite places. I spent about 15 years of my career down there. And we're going to be visiting with James O'Brian. James is he's wearing a couple hats today. He's the head flag football coach at Western High School in Florida. Flag football is a hugely popular activity. He is also the Southeast Regional Director for an organization called the Florida Coaches Coalition. You've heard me talk about that a couple of times in the podcast. We're going to hear about that and more. But James O'Brian, welcome to the Educational AD Podcast.
So thank you. Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Well, as you and I were sharing, it's a busy time. It's fall in Florida. A lot of football stuff going on, high school, college, and the pros, of course. Um, James, we always like to let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So give us that quick bio, where you were born, where you grew up, maybe take us up through your own, high school days and,
Sure.
just tell your life story in 2 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm born and raised in Hollywood, Florida. Lived here my whole life. I actually moved to North Carolina for a year to see if I wanted to live anywhere else, and my heart was here. So I ended up coming back. I was in my early 30s. So born and raised in Hollywood. Uh, Started playing football at a young age. I think I was 10 or 11 years old. In the Pop Warner leagues, and then carried on through high school. Had a pretty good high school career, and didn't get any big offers coming out of high school. So I went to community college for a couple of years, and then one of my aunts was gracious enough to offer to pay for me to go to school, and I transferred to the University of Miami, where I was a walk-on in '95. So I played under Butch Davis. That was his first year there. Larry Coker was the offensive coordinator. I was a quarterback down there, and once football gets in your blood, it doesn't go away. So it kind of led me down a path of eventually wanting to stay in the game. And after a brief career in the business world, I decided that coaching football is what I wanted to do and where I wanted to be. So that led me to leaving the business world, getting my start at MacArthur High School in Hollywood, and then transferred to Western, where I was receivers coach, quarterbacks coach, offensive coordinator for the past 7 years here at Western. And I also was able to jump on the flag football job when that opened up. That was about 12 years ago. And, been doing that ever since. Was fortunate enough to win a state championship in 2022. We were named the number one high school flag football team in the country by Max Preps. That was quite an honor, to build a program from the ground up and to reach the height of it like that is, it's an honor, and it's, a sort of a validation for all the hard work that you put in. And we still got that program going pretty good. We've been, we won our last 74 games. We're 69-5, 3 state tournament appearances, and we look to keep that going. And that's my coaching bio. I'm married to my lovely wife Lisa O'Brien. We have I have an 18-year-old stepson. We have a 6-year-old daughter together. Life is good. I can't complain. So that's
I love it. Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna jump into that career later on. I'm gonna go all the way back to growing up in Hollywood. Now, I coached in Coral Springs, also down in Miami, 2000 to I guess it was 2014. And I'm gonna guess back when you were growing up, the Hollywood area. I mean, just beautiful little neighborhoods, houses, things like that. It's certainly not let's say a downtown Miami sort of vibe. What are your memories of growing up in the neighborhood there in Hollywood?
Oh man. I had a wonderful childhood growing up. My parents were, they were together for 26 years. Getting outside, playing at the park down the street at Oak Ridge Elementary. We had a field and a baseball diamond and some paddleball courts, tennis courts, and just always being outside riding bikes. Our Christmases were fantastic. And then high school came, and I went to St. Thomas my freshman year, and being the fourth string quarterback on the freshman team on a team of 88 kids, didn't see too much playing time there. So, my dad helped me make the decision that, if you want to really play football, then, we're going to transfer you to South Broward High School. And that's where I played. And that's where I graduated in 91, played under Matt Lococo. I don't know if you remember him. He was kind of like a legend down here back then.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, so I played quarterback at South Broward from 89 to 91. And I had a pretty good career there.
Looking back on those days, can you think of a moment? I ask this question a lot. Can you think of a moment, could have been junior high, could have been high school, maybe even college, that at the time it really didn't seem like much, but now as a coach, as a leader of young people, men and women, you can look back to that moment and say, hey, that was a significant point for me. Anything come to mind?
I'm sorry, I missed the first part. The anything come to mind as far as what was the?
Well, at the time when you were in, let's say, in high school,
Yeah.
it really didn't mean much. But now looking back years later, you can point to that moment or maybe a series of moments where it really had an impact on you later on in life.
You talk about in football in general or in
Football,
general?
life, anything. Okay.
Gosh. I can't really think of anything. I'm not really sure I'm understanding the question, to be honest with you. I think I zoned out on what you were looking for there.
Absolutely no worries. Okay. Playing at University of Miami, that had to be quite an experience for you. Anything to share from those days?
Yeah, that was a unique experience. So I thought my playing days were over going through community college and then transferring down to University of Miami. Um, for school, I was driving by the Hecht Athletic Center one day, and I said, I don't really want my playing days to be over. This is my final shot to play organized football. So I made a U-turn and I drove up and walked in and just said, hey, I'd like to walk onto the football team. What do I need to do? So, I had to get my physical done and get, parental sign-offs and stuff like that. And, made the team and, walking through, I was 6 foot, about 165 pounds back then. And when you're walking down the hall of champions and you're seeing pictures of Bernie Kosar and Jim Kelly and Michael Irvin, and I was like, man, what am I doing here? What am I crazy? But once you're part of the team, you're a Hurricane, and they embrace you like your family. And to this day, I'm still able to go down to some of those reunions and go to the football games on Saturdays and see some of the former players that I used to play with. So it's always a fraternity, and it's you're a Cane for life once you're part of that program. So very blessed to be a Hurricane.
Oh yeah, it's right there in your backyard.
Yeah.
That's got to be very cool. For listeners, our guest today is James O'Brian. He's a longtime coach in South Florida. We're going to hear more about his journey, but let's take our first break. We're coming back with more. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Huddle for their support of the podcast. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches, all of our coaches, just love the platform. Our kids love the videos. Our parents love the streaming, but there is so much more. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users. Turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to say thanks to Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and then been disappointed in the results? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. It's hands down the best online fundraiser out there. We used it at my schools with great success. Our coaches loved it. Our parents loved it because it works. Go to snapraise.com. Check out their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it. Go to snapraise.com. Welcome back, everybody, to our interview with James O'Brian, the head flag football coach at Western High School here in Florida, and also the Southeast Regional Director for the Florida Coaches Coalition. Coach, you started your coaching career, just about out of, the chute. How did that all happen and fall into place? And maybe kind of take us on your journey up to the point where you joined the team at Western.
Yeah, so I was, came out of college and had a couple of jobs, and I got a really nice job. A friend of mine was working at a software company called Citrix down here. It's a South Florida-based software company. It was great for a little while. Actually, great the whole time I was there. But I decided at one point, life starts going really fast when you're in your mid 20s, and you have to start making decisions on what you want to do as a for the rest of your life. And I was inside sales, and just I didn't feel like that was something that I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I didn't want to be in a cube, working from 8 to 6, getting home, eating, and going to sleep. I just didn't want to do that with my life. And there's a a proverb that says, delight yourself in the Lord, and He'll give you the desires of your heart. And I had to kind of self-reflect and find out what those desires were. I was like, what do I want to do? I mean, I was kind of at a crossroads. I said, well, I love the game of football, and I love being around, kids, and coaching just kind of seemed to be the theme that kept ringing true in my life. So I figured, I'm going to go for it. So I got a job at a buddy of mine was working at MacArthur High School. He said, yeah, we need a JV coach. So I left the software world and became a JV football coach at a public high school, which was, a big decision. And I was just hoping that it was the right one. And I was hoping that, my passion for the game, wouldn't sour because it would become a job for me. And, fortunately enough, I still love the game. I still love being around the kids. And, so I'm still fortunate enough to say I'm doing that to this day. So I'm still a coach.
Um, we use this expression in the AD world a lot. I'm sure coaches can use it too. You don't know what you don't know. You played football, you're around coaches all the time, but now all of a sudden you've got the whistle and the clipboard and you're in charge. What were some things that you found out as a young new coach that you didn't know came with the
Oh,
job?
gosh. I found out that I didn't know the game at all. I thought I knew the game, and then I didn't know the game. I mean, and it really comes down to just the communication. Like, how are you setting up a formation? How are you calling a play? How are you getting them in the right protections? How are you finding the windows on the defense and what are you telling your quarterback they're looking at? All those things that were just, built in for me as a player. You just went with what you were told to do. So I was coachable, and I knew what the coaches were telling me. But implementing your own system based on the players that you had, you know, that was a world of, I didn't think I wasn't ready for it. So I learned on the fly, and then I transferred to Western the following year. So I was 1 year not knowing what I was doing. Figured out a little bit. I was around a great coach, Mike Zara. He's in the Wrestling Hall of Fame for high school. He was the head coach at MacArthur. He helped me out a lot with the organizational stuff and just how to run a team. And then I came to Western, and I was a receivers coach under Rashad West, who he played in Southeast Athletic Conference somewhere. So he knew the game very well. He knew the spread offense, and I was just amazed at how much I didn't know when I was around him, and he taught me a lot of things that just made a lot of sense. And then he had left, and I wound up staying here coaching under Adam Rakovich, who's still the head coach here today. And just a wealth of knowledge from him too. So you surround yourself, or you're put in a place where you got guys who know the game, and when you're surrounded by good people, it just kind of elevates you to new heights. Now, when I took over for the flag football here at Western, that position had opened up, and I, ever since I got done playing, I was always playing 7-on-7 in the men's leagues around here, Brian Piccolo Park, in particular. So I always knew the game 7-on-7. It was just like 7-on-7 in football, 7-on-7 in flag is a little bit different. But I always felt that I had a good handle on how to scheme up offenses and, what good defenses look like. So I was excited to take on that opportunity. And, you know, you can have the playbook, but then you need the players. And, you have to build it. And then, eventually they start coming out and, so that's where we are now.
We're going to talk about that in our next segment. On the coaching end of it, you're very candid, and I think there's very similar experience for all coaches. I know it was for me. You I was a head coach at 26, and I truly didn't know what I didn't know. I had some great mentors, some veteran assistants that helped me, but and I know this does not describe you, but bear with me. You've been coaching now for a number of years. You've had tremendous success. Um, can you look at a point in your career? I'm coming back to a point here where you kind of knew in your head, okay, I don't know everything. I still need to keep learning. We all still need to keep learning. But was there a point where you kind of knew you made a breakthrough? You said, okay, I'm a pretty good coach now. Can you point to a moment or a season where that occurred in your life? Hey, I'm going to be okay in this profession.
Yeah, absolutely. So, learning under Coach West for, I don't even know, 4 or 5 years, maybe a little bit longer. I'm not even sure the numbers there. When he left, the job opening came open here at Western, and I was one of the final candidates. It came down to two people, and I didn't get it. So, I went and coached at another high school for a year, and but I was teaching here at Western, but coaching at the other school. And then the following year, they made another change, and they brought in Coach Rakovich, and I talked to him, and he wanted me to come back and coach with him. But I when I was going for the head coaching job, I knew the offense well enough to be confident enough to know that I could at least do that side of the ball. Maybe the whole being head of a program, I probably wasn't completely ready for. But when I came back and I coached for Coach Rakovich, I told him, if I come back, I want to be the offensive coordinator. I want to have control of the offense, and I had a pretty good handle on it from again, just being under Coach West, and then even being over at at Cooper City for a year. I learned Coach Brandon Walker was there, and I coached under him, and another good football mind. And it just all came together, and I had a good understanding of what the spread offense looked like, and how to get the ball to guys in space, and all those things. So, and Coach Mack gave me the opportunity to be the offensive coordinator, and I've been the offensive coordinator here for the past 7 years. Take a little step back now. I'm here not as much. I'm the quarterbacks coach for the boys here. Been privileged to coach 2 Broward County Players of the Year. We got another great quarterback right now, and Sebastian Serco. He's a 3 or 4 star. He's got offers from D1, and just a great kid all around. So I really love, being around kids who want to be great and want to learn the game. And so I had that breakthrough when I came back to Western High School, knowing that I, could run an offense effectively.
Yeah. And again, I love how you share that story. Sometimes we do have to step away, to come back and, have that next level of success. Very cool.
Yeah.
We're going to take another quick break. We're visiting today with James O'Brian. He is the head coach for the flag football program at Western High School. Very successful flag football program. We're going to hear about that and more, but let's take another break. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to thank Hometown Ticketing for their support of the podcast. Go to hometownticketing.com. They're the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. I don't think I need to say anything more. That's hometownticketing.com. It's digital ticketing that offers more. We also want to say thank you to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all the teams, for all the different events, or to show off your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and take a look at their interactive touchscreen. That's right, touchscreen video consoles. It's also a great way to showcase your school's unique history and brag about your proudest moments. That website again is vitalsignswalloffame.com. Check them out today. We'd like to say thank you to Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Now, I didn't get my master's from Ohio University, but my assistant AD did, along with thousands of others, and it was a great experience. It's very affordable, just 20 months, totally online. And as you're completing your master's, Ohio University also includes 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. That's ohio.edu/info/MAA, the Ohio University Online Masters in Athletic Administration. Welcome back, everybody, to the Educational AD Podcast. James, you shared with our viewers, you've been at Western for a long time. The flag football program has been around for a while. When you became the head coach, how did you put your stamp on it? And, share with our listeners, how did you turn it into not just a state championship program, but a national championship program?
Yeah. So when I first started, again, like I said earlier, I knew the game just from playing it for a while, and I knew we'd be successful on the field, regardless of who we were playing. And that was true for the most part at the local level. Broward County didn't have, any championships at that time. And we were able to compete with all those teams. And then when you get to the regional rounds, and you start playing teams from other areas that know what they're doing, again, it shows you what you didn't know. You think you can know enough to get by some of the guys that also don't know as much as you do, or equal amount, and you can have some good games. And then when you play a team that just smokes you like Seminole Ridge did, and when we got to Seminole Ridge, so I took over in 2011, I think, or 2012, and then we wound up playing Seminole Ridge. It wasn't until 2018 when we got to the regional round, and we went undefeated a few times and then lost in the district rounds. And then we finally made it to the regional round, and Seminole Ridge was a 5-time state champion when we played them the first time, and I think they beat us like 38-0. It wasn't even close. We thought we were ready. We thought we could hang with them, and we just couldn't. And then the following year, Robinson, they're like 8 or 9-time state champions right now. Back then when we played them, I think they were like 4 or 5 in a row. Alonzo had just won one, and both those teams are from Tampa. And me and my assistant coach, we said, let's go play those two teams and see how they won the championship. Let's go see what they do. So we scheduled it. This is the COVID year. So we scheduled a trip over there for our first 2 games of the season and got crushed by both of them. But we had on film what they were doing, like what they were trying to exploit in our defense, and what they were doing on defense to stop our offense. So we were able to kind of see, like, okay, this is what they do. We can do that. So we learned a lot by going over there and playing the best. And then we won the next 2 games or 3 games that year, and then they shut COVID. COVID shut everything down. We were like 4-2 that year, and that was it. And then the following year we came back and we went undefeated, and we got to I think we were 18-0 or 19-0, and we got to the state semifinals, and we got to play Seminole Ridge again. And this time we wound up beating them. So we beat them, I think it was 18-6. It was the biggest win in program history for us. Got us to the state championship game. And the following day in the state championship game, we lost by 1 point to Newsom, another team from Tampa. And then after that, we went 19-0 the following year, got back to the state championship game, and beat Newsom. They were the defending state champions, obviously, and we beat them, and we went 19-0. And, I think we won like 34 or 35 in a row at that point, and, claimed our first state championship for the school and the first in Broward history. And, we've been fortunate enough to have some successful teams after that. We went back the following year, lost to the state semifinals. And then this year we were number 1 in the state until our quarterback sprained her ankle, and we wound up losing to a very talented St. Thomas team that knocked us out of the playoffs. So I'm going to try retool our team this year and see if we can make another run. But that's been the path.
You've mentioned already, the importance of, as a coach, you need to know your craft. You need to learn the game. You also talked about, hey, you can be the smartest coach in the world, but if you don't have some players, it's going to be hard to win some games.
Yeah.
You included kind of an intangible there, going over, playing tough teams, but also getting the video on them so you could learn and the players could learn. So for those eager coaches out there that are listening, is there another, I'm going to say it, it's an awful word, is another secret to your success that you're willing to share? Now, athletic directors, they love to share. Coaches, I know you keep things closer to the vest, but during that run of going from a good team, winning districts, to becoming that great team, is there another little secret ingredient that you can reveal?
Yeah, there is. I mean, there's two things, and the first thing I want to say is not much of a secret at all, and I kind of alluded to it earlier. You got to surround yourself with good people. And just quick story: we were playing Cypress Bay, and defensive coach over there said, "Hey, if you want any information on what Hollywood Hills is doing, I got information on them." And he pulls out his notepad, and he has like everything scattered out and written down. I was like, "Man, this guy's crazy. That's amazing." And then he finished that year, and the head coach found him not coming back and said, "Hey, if you're looking for help, why don't you just reach out to me." So of course he came on, and he's good friend of mine now. He works right down the street. He makes time for the girls when he can. He's every day back here, and he's he's as crazy as he is passionate about the game. And you got to have somebody who's all in like that, who's running one side of the ball so you can focus on the other side of the ball. Mm-hmm. So in doing that and playing, so that's the secret number one: surround yourself with good people. Secret number two is I've been playing flag football for a long time, and one of my best friends, Pete Bross, told me about these things he was doing in the boys league. A little side quarter, a little side snap action to the running back, who's also a double quarterback. And when you can bust something out that nobody else is doing and get good at it, how are they going to handle you when they get to you? And that was one of our secrets in our run. So we kind of implemented a 2-quarterback system that just wreaks havoc on a rusher, because when you're 7-on-7, you have a single rush.
Right.
And that single rush now has to go to, she don't know exactly where she's going. And then they got to pull another defender out of the coverage to take care of your other quarterback. Now you only got 5 girls in coverage and you got 6 girls in a route, because now that one quarterback can go out. So there's always somebody open. And once you fine tune that, and everybody else is just playing the basic game as it's played, kind of gives you an edge, because you're good at something that not many other people have seen. So that's another secret that we were able to, to add to our success.
Geez, I love that idea. And again, just, getting the ball out on the perimeter, to a speed person, even if they don't speed, they've already broke contain. Great ideas. I love them. James, we're going to do this at the end of the podcast, but and we haven't yet talked about, we're going to, the Florida Coaches Coalition. If one of our listeners wanted to reach out, pick your brain a little bit more, or just add you to their network, what's the best way that they can get a hold of you?
They can, I guess, just follow me on Twitter or X, whatever it's called now, and you can DM me there. It's just the simplest, easiest way to get a hold of me. And then I can give you emails and all those other stuff. But my Twitter handle, or my X handle, is @CoachOB11.
Okay. @CoachOB11. We'll give that out again at the end of the podcast, but it's a pretty good, easy one to write down.
Yeah.
Our guest today is James O'Brian. He's a longtime coach at Western High School, longtime coach here in Florida, very successful coach. He's also the Southeast Regional Director for the Florida Coaches Coalition. We're going to hear all about that and why you should get involved with the Florida Coaches Coalition after a quick break. This is the Educational AD Podcast. For commercials. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Gipper for their support. Your kids are on social media, so are a lot of their parents. And if they're not seeing content that celebrates their accomplishments and promotes your programs, you're missing out on a great opportunity. Go to Gipper.com. Their team will have you creating world-class content in seconds, and it's so easy, even I can do it. The website is Gipper.com. Check them out today. We also want to thank Home Campus for their support. Home Campus is a platform that you're going to use every single day. Things like scheduling, rosters, scores, communication with your staff. How about student athlete eligibility and clearance? That alone is worth the cost. To get started, to find out more, just go to homecampus.com. That's it, homecampus.com. And we want to say thank you to Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com, schedule a live web demo to see their score tables and their score boards in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Check out their great products today. Welcome back, everybody, to the podcast. James, you done just a wonderful job sharing your journey and your success as a coach, but you're also in a position giving back to the profession. You're the Southeast Regional Director for an organization called the Florida Coaches Coalition. Their Twitter handle is Pay Florida Coaches. The goal, and I'm trying not to take too much of your thunder, is to try and do something to remedy the fact that Florida high school coaches are just incredibly underpaid. And we don't do it for the money, but hey, it's nice to have a living wage, if you will. So, what is the Florida Coaches Coalition? How does it work? How can people get involved? What would you like our listeners to know that they might not already know about it?
Yeah, so the Florida Coaches Coalition, Andrew, he reached out, put out the initiative on Twitter. I saw it, and he was looking for anybody who wanted to be a part of it. And coaching for as long as I have, and in the process, you start out typically as a young coach, which is fine when you're single. You can coach and do what you want and take care of yourself. But once you have a family and responsibilities and finances and those types of things start to become greater pressing issues, you have to wonder, are you able to sustain doing what you love to do without having the finances to to validate the time away that you spend from your family? And so you come at a crossroads. Do you quit football? Do you look for a second job? Like, how are you gonna provide for your family and after that? And it becomes a stressful thing, and you start to wonder, is it worth it? And it's an unfortunate thing because a lot of people I think are born to be coaches and mentors and to be around uh, you know kids and so back into the community. And when coaches start having to uproot their families and move to Georgia or Texas or Tennessee, places where coaches actually make a salary and not just a stipend, um, you start to wonder, should you do the same thing? And it's, moving a family is a difficult decision. And when the Florida Coaches Coalition came up with you know, this plan to start getting some traction, as far as, not only just the pay, but, the mental health of the coaches, providing resources for them where, you know, let's be honest. I mean, for the stipend of a coach, when it's all said and done, is probably works out between $1 and $2 an hour by all the work that they put in, sometimes less. Um, and then on top of that, you got to get your own fingerprints. You got to pay for those. I mean, it's the job deserves more credit than it gets. And when you look back, any coach or anybody who's played sport looks back, they can talk about some of the coaches that made such big differences in their lives. And to lose good coaches, because as you grow older, you get better at your job. And to lose those coaches from your communities to different states, it's an unfortunate thing. And I think it's a big part of the community and it's a big part of the state and our culture, to be able to keep good coaches in place. So when Andrew came up with the Florida Coaches Coalition and I heard about it, I thought this would be a great opportunity to get involved and to, help coaches. I know plenty of good coaches who are just great men who have to give up the profession, if you even want to call it a profession, because it's, it's a stipend that they give you, They pay you more like it's a hobby than it is a job or a career, and people just can't live like that. So we're trying to make a difference and make a change for coaches across the state.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is awareness, obviously, and Andrew, Dr. Ramjet has done a great job of making some connections, at the state level. And for listeners in other states, in Florida, coaching stipends typically come through the local school district, and that might be a small town, it might be a big school district like Broward County Schools. So it's not currently anything that is like there's one entity that's doing this. It's throughout the state. So James, what are some things from that awareness standpoint? What is some things that the coalition has done, the Dr. Ramjet, that you are doing as a regional director to help increase the awareness? And what have been some of the early results?
Well, we've had a meeting. Andrew, Dr. Ramjet had a meeting. I think it was just last week with Rep. Anderson in Tallahassee, who is on board for making change, and that's fantastic. Governor Ron DeSantis has come out and said that coaches need to be paid more, so he's on board with it as well. It's just it's not a unilateral decision, as you know. It's democracy here, and we're trying to raise the awareness to make some noise and actually get a bill passed in March in Tallahassee. And you know, we're not asking for Georgia money. We're not asking for Texas money. We're asking for minimum wage. We think that's a fair, a more than fair request to have it kind of come down from the state level, um, and down into the counties, and have us recognized as it's more than just it's more than just an after school hobby. It's something where it keeps kids involved. It creates new paths for kids. It helps them get to the next level with football scholarships. It helps so many kids with a path and a journey to be successful. And there needs to be some type of compensation for the people who dedicate their time for that. So we've had some success speaking to some people at the state level. And now we're just trying to raise the awareness in the communities, because anybody you talk to knows that it's a joke what the pay is. And we're just trying to gain, a more official type of support moving forward, so we can have some real change take place. And we've been successful so far.
Well, if somebody wants to find out more information, to join, to help spread the word, to get
Yeah.
involved, what's the best way that they can do that?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is, fortunately, this was available. So it's floridacoaches.com. You go there, you sign up to be a member. It's free, and then you will be, on the emailing list of all the updates and everything that comes out. We have a monthly magazine. It's a digital magazine that gets sent to, we have 23,000 coaches in the database. And anybody else who wants to join and be a member through that website, again, it's floridacoaches.com. Just sign up and become a member. It just requires an email address, and you get up to date. You can go to the website and see everything that we're about. You can meet all the regional directors and the motives and the agendas that we have, and then you'll be able to receive the monthly digital magazine that we have, where we spotlight coaches of the month, players of the month, needs that are discussed about, or, around the state. What does this city need versus this city? What are the county issues? And it's just a lot of information. It's not just football coaches. It's every single coach that coaches a sport in high school: volleyball, softball, flag football, lacrosse, anything. I mean, all these coaches deserve to have, the spotlight on them because of the work that they put in. So, FloridaCoaches.com is the best way to get started. And again, you can follow me at Coach OB11 on Twitter/X, and I'll be more than happy to share information with you there as well, including sponsors. If you guys are interested in a sponsorship, there's plenty of ways where you guys can get involved. We're a nonprofit organization. We're not trying to make money. We're trying to, legislate change for the coaches that deserve it.
Yeah, well, I'm going to encourage all my sponsors when we get done here to connect with you guys. Again, the website, Florida Coaches, all one word.com. You can also follow them on Twitter, and that's at Pay, Payfl Coaches, Pay Florida Coaches. And I'm just looking at the Twitter site right now. You've got the comment about your meeting with Adam Anderson, Florida legislator, about helping the cause. So very cool stuff. James, this has been great connecting with you, adding you to my network, and I appreciate you sharing with our listeners, but we're not done yet. We always wrap up with the athletic director's toolbox. Now, you're not an athletic director, but you've been around the world of athletics, and we're going to take our final break here from Athletic Surveys, who sponsored this segment. And when we come back, I'm going to challenge you to send out a brand new AD or maybe a brand new coach. But I'm only going to let you put 3 items in their toolbox. So let's take that break. And when we return, we're going to see what James O'Brian puts into his new athletic director toolbox. We want to thank Athletic Surveys for sponsoring the toolbox segment. You know, athletic directors already get feedback, but a lot of times it's from a very small group that just wants to gripe about things. Athletic Surveys is going to connect you to that group, but they're also going to connect you to the 98% that supports your program. And having that data is incredibly valuable, especially when you're talking to a frustrated parent, maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. Well, it's that time of the podcast. We've been visiting today with James O'Brian. He's a coach, a teacher and a coach at Western High School here in South Florida. Tremendous background in athletics as a leader, state champion, national champion. But right now, I'm going to task him with sending out a brand new leader on their very first job, but I'm only going to let him put 3 things in their toolbox. So, James, what 3 items are going to go into your new leadership toolbox?
Well, the number one thing, I don't know how to rank them, but one definitely is a way to communicate with your team, and at our level, the parents of your players. You got to keep them involved. You have to uh, create a family type of environment where not only do the players feel like they're they're wanted and cared for, but that the parents are as well. Because if you get the parents involved, it really helps pull a lot of weight in the same direction. You don't want to be, uh, you know, not only button heads with parents, but you want them on your side with everything that you do. So communication, you got to have the communication tools, whether it's a chat or an app or anything like that. Number 2, you got to have a great booster club leader, a booster club president, somebody who, um, kind of handles uh, the day-to-day activities on game day where you can't do everything at once, and you have somebody helping, uh, you know, manage or communicate with the other parents and be able to keep them involved in things and encouraging them to help, whether it's at the concession stand or pregame meals. Many hands make light work, and that's definitely something that you need to have to run a successful program. And gosh, the third thing, I mean, from a very analytical person, so I'm just going to say that you got to have somebody who's reliable to film your games, because a lot of times we try to give out service hours, and it's just not enough for kids to be consistent to filming your game. So find a reliable film person to make sure that you're getting everything on tape, so you can teach and learn, and make video highlights at the end of the year for kids who want to go to college, so you can send them out to college coaches. So those would be my 3.
Well, I love them all. And I love the point that you make about, the relationship with the booster club. When I got started as a young coach, a young football coach, it was, oh, there's a booster club. Okay, you guys do your thing, and I'll take care of the football. And it took me a while to realize how valuable they were and how much easier they could make my job, how much better they can make it the experience for our kids. So
Yeah,
great
absolutely.
stuff. Yeah, and getting that video person, no
Yeah.
question.
We've had some rough times with the film, so I'm speaking from a point of pain.
No, I have, believe me, we could share some stories. James, this has just been so cool getting to know you and spending some time with you. One more time, if one of our listeners wants to add you to their network, and please, listeners, reach out, find out more about the Florida Coaches Coalition. How do they connect with James O'Brian?
Yeah, at Coach OB11 on Twitter, um, at PayFL Coaches on Twitter, and FloridaCoaches.com if you wanted to visit the website.
Okay. James O'Brian, Western High School, and the Florida Coaches Coalition. Thanks again. All the best with the football seasons, both tackle football here in the fall and
Yeah.
for Florida's flag football in the spring.
Thanks a lot, Jake. I appreciate you having me on. You have a great day.
You were great. For listeners, we want to say thanks to you and remind you we upload the Zoom recordings to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this just about every day, sharing stories and best practices. So please come back and join us on the next Educational AD Podcast.